Thanks for staying with us here on The Real Story. We're talking about this past week's Democratic National Convention. Before the final night, I spoke one-on-one with the delegate from Connecticut who did not cast his vote for Harris, the one present vote from our state. Esam Boraey, an Egyptian immigrant forced to flee as a political prisoner, now here in America, an academic, an activist, and at-large West Hartford delegate.
I'm a ceasefire delegate, which obviously from the name, I do support the message of the party and the leadership of the party calling for a ceasefire, right? The disagreement comes in the idea of how can we leverage or how can we use our leverage in this peace talk process to actually achieve an immediate and permanent and meaningful ceasefire, right? So this is the main disagreement here. And to me, it was very important to make my voice heard because I do believe it's very healthy and it's very important than any time before that Democrats have internal discussions and internal debate over concerning issues, especially during the convention process. We all are very united. I do believe we all are very united in supporting the values of the Democratic Party. We all are united in that way, but also we also are very, I do hope and I do believe that we also are united on the belief that it's very healthy and it's very necessary and it's very needed as Democrats to have those internal healthy debates and discussions and disagreements on those issues. Especially, this issue is a very crucial issue. It has been going on for almost a year now, or for over 10 months. So many innocent souls have been lost. So many damage has been occurred during that process. So there is a time to have this debate. And this is why I felt so strongly on making that point up. Especially, as you know, I'm the only delegate from Connecticut that have that opinion, or I'm the only delegate who voted present in Connecticut, uncommitted, and I felt even more obligated to have that stand and make my voice heard because it's very important to have this diverse opinions.
Being the only delegate from Connecticut who voted present this week during that state roll call, standing there with all of your fellow delegates and, hearing Connecticut announce one present, 73 votes for Harris, what was that moment like? What did it mean for you to be able to do that, as well as, for those back home in Connecticut, as well as those in the Middle East who are obviously still watching what happens in America?
Of course, I think this convention, I strongly believe this convention is the most heavily watched convention in the Middle East that I've ever know of, for good reasons. And yes, so for that moment, I'm very proud to be. I can't state enough how happy and excited I am to be part of this process. I was a human rights and political activist back in Egypt. I was put on trial in criminal court for a year and a half for my beliefs, for my stance, for my opposition to the Egyptian regime. I was forced to flee my country because I was sentenced to 2 years in prison. And literally here I am in a historical moment choosing the president of the United States. There's no words that can describe how excited I am to be here. I'm very grateful to be part of this process. I did have a lot of mixed feelings at this stage. At that moment, I was very proud that I was able to stand and make my point and make my voice heard. And I was very proud to see my fellow Democrats announcing my position and stand and accepting it without any oppression to that vote, which meant a lot to me. But also there are some of my fellow delegates who obviously didn't like my position and didn't agree with my position for different reasons, and many of them worked so hard to make sure that I know they didn't like what I did and what I was doing, and also I had many civil conversations with the fellow delegates who strongly disagreed with my position, but also at the same time they supported my right of doing so, and they really believed in the Democratic Party values of having that big tent. So between some folks who were really angry, and between witnessing that historical moment, between being there and representing my people back in my home country, it's mixed feelings. It's a lot to entangle in that moment, but it's a unique moment for sure.
As you said, mixed feelings, but you were talking about obviously some mixed reactions as well. What were some of those conversations like with those who, shared the same concerns as you, as well as with those who really disagreed with your decision?
Look, at the heat of the moment, when the votes were announced, there was a strong opinion of showing 100% unity and 100% support for Vice President and her ticket. And some people were upset that we couldn't achieve the 100%. But for me, that wasn't a big deal. The showing the 100% thing. I am coming from a community and a region where leadership always elected by 100% of the vote, and I know what that means. or what doesn't mean, right? So I know that. So that wasn't a big thing to me. I'd rather when not having 100% of the vote, but make sure that everybody is included, all voices are heard, than just ignoring my opposition, ignoring my questions, ignoring my disagreement just for the sake of the 100% approval.
We know that there are people, though, who do feel represented by your choice to, vote present, as well as your actions at the convention. We saw this past week the clip that's now, gone viral, like many other protests in recent months, but the clip of you and a few others holding up that big banner during President Biden's speech Monday. I know many people, have said about your banner and about the protest this past week, why do it now? Why do it there? What's your response to that?
We do have a serious disagreement on the mechanisms of which the party will implement their strategy of ceasefire, right? We have a significant disagreement, and this disagreement has been heard since day one. I was chosen as a delegate, right? The party opened throughout the process, right? Opened a platform for us to submit suggestions, languages, articles, platforms, and we followed all of those steps, and we submitted languages, we submitted the suggestions, we had discussions. So we did everything, and we were very disappointed in the final form of the outcome. Really didn't take into consideration at all the suggestions we have made. Every single politician came along, every single politician from the president himself to the youngest ranked person talked about unity, all voices heard, inclusivity, the big tent. So it was like, okay, great. We do believe that. I myself strongly believe in those values. And I was like, okay, this is the perfect last opportunity to have our disagreement heard before we go to November, right? Once we're out here, we're out of here. There's no other place to do that. And we chose the most civil way of doing it. We didn't want to, we just held a banner that talks about it. But then the reaction on that banner was the thing that really got me very emotional and very angry, and reminded me of the ways that the Egyptian government used to use to suppress to oppress my vote, or my voice and my concerns and my opposition. So what happened immediately? We were physically attacked immediately and verbally abused with the most colorful language, speed in 1 minute that I ever heard in my entire life. And we were literally beaten, like we were beaten by a stick, and we were pushed, we were asked to run, to leave, and people were screaming at us that's like, this is not your place, get out of here. Really? If the Democratic Convention is not my place, so where is? I couldn't understand that. Whips on the floor, who were on the floor on the DNC, came along and tried to physically remove us and pull out the banner from us. And I tried to stop him. And then he was next to me. And then I noticed that my female colleague was beaten on her head by a man, literally like a 6 foot, very strong, powerful man on top of us in the upper level from us, who were literally beating her with the stick on her head. And the rest of the block that they were in just can't stop using all of the abusive language that you could ever imagine. We are delegates, members of the Democratic Party, on the floor of the DNC convention, holding a banner and trying to express our beliefs in a very peaceful way. So between de-escalating and showing a strong position against this harassment and making sure my friend is protected, it was a lot to handle, but safely we survived. I myself personally wish Democrats will be in the White House in 2024, but at what cost?
That does it for us now on The Real Story. But if you want to watch these segments again, you can head to fox61.com or download the free Fox 61 News app. Watch The Real Story every Sunday at 10 a.m. right here on Fox 61 and streaming on Fox 61 Plus. Have a great morning.